Hello and welcome to Europa Universalis 4, the Cradle of Civilization, the Sultans of the Monsoon Sea, where we are going to be playing as the Sultans of the Monsoon Sea, the Sultans of Hormuz, which is a Muslim kingdom in the southeastern part of the Arabian Peninsula. Very interesting kingdom. I've done a little bit of research on them before we start, so I'm gonna start our series off in the future, at least our series based on historical games, with a little bit of background. It was actually a very wealthy area, and Wikipedia, the great source that is, actually has a description of Hormuz, and I believe this was written in the 1300s, so it's a little bit before when EU4 actually starts, but it gives you a pretty good idea. Hormuz became the capital of an empire which comprehended a considerable part of Arabia on one side and Persia on the other. At the time of the arrival of the foreign merchants, it afforded a more splendid and agreeable scene than any city in the east. Persons from all parts of the globe exchanged their commodities and transacted their business with an air of politeness and attention which are seldom seen in other places of trade. The streets were covered with mats, in some places with carpet, and the linen awnings, which were suspended from the tops of the houses, prevented any inconvenience from the heat of the sun. India cabinets ornamented with gilded vases or china filled with flowering shrubs or aromatic plants adorned their apartments. Camels laden with water were stationed in the public squares. Persian wines, perfumes, and all the delicacies of the table were furnished in great abundance, and they had the music of the East in its highest perfection. In short, universal opulence, an extensive commerce, politeness in the men, and gallantry in the women, united all under their attractions to make this city the seat of pleasure. So, it's a very wealthy region. It's a great place for trade, and trade is exactly what we're going to want to do here. Our main goal... Let's go ahead and just load up the game real quick, so I can show off some other stuff. This first episode's going to have a lot of intro, a lot of exposition, but we'll get down to the action pretty quick. Just want to kind of set the stage here. So this is cool. This is new in Cradle of Civilization. They kind of show you the state of the world for the area that you're playing, and then you can kind of look at these different tabs. So the state in the Middle East... Currently, as the Timurid Empire's borders recede, a number of regional magnates and tribal chiefs see their opportunity to carve out states for themselves. In Anatolia and Syria, this vacuum has already been filled by the Ottomans and the Mamluks, the old regional powers in this area. In this uncertain political situation, tensions are on the rise between the old sedentary cultures of the region and the many Turkic tribes that dominate its military and political life. Many of the Turkoman tribesmen have started to turn to millenarian sects, such as the Safawiya, which, by the way, this is going to be fairly significant. The Muslim world is now divided up into schools, which is pretty cool. We're going to be looking at that in a second. A development that might well reshape the future of the region completely. So we're Sunni Islamic, Sunni Islam country, although... we have only 15% religious unity. The majority of our territory is Ibadi, with quite a few Shia provinces as well. So we're definitely going to have to deal with that. So another thing I really like, by the way, they've gotten rid of... So it's still called the Piety Bar, but they now divide it up between mysticism and legalism, which I really like. Legalism is the more... technological side, which definitely is where we're going to be pulling towards. We want to create the Second Islamic Golden Age, basically, is going to be one of our goals. But calling it mysticism and legalism versus piety and lack of piety was kind of inaccurate before. The great Muslim scholars of the Golden Age were not lacking in piety. They just had different interpretations of things. They weren't these, like, debaucherous heathens any more than, the great scholars of the Italian Renaissance were not good Catholics. They were, for the most part. They just disagreed with certain church authorities. I mean, Galileo, is a famous example of a guy who was not liked by the church, to put it mildly, but he was still a good Catholic, at least in his own mind. So it ranges from mysticism to legalism with different bonuses. So we move to legalism through choices and events, declaring war on infidels and heretics, as well as converting provinces, and then we move towards mysticism by declaring war on fellow Muslims and through choices and events and other interactions. So if we mostly conquer heretics and infidels, we will become more legalistic. If we fight other Muslims, we'll become more mystic. I suppose to represent the fact that if going to war with other Muslims is kind of saying that we know more of the truth of the religion than they do. We all belong to a school that give different bonuses. Schools also have opinions of each other that change during the course of the game that will have an effect on the relations between other countries that follow them. And we could also invite scholars from other schools to combine their bonuses for 20 years. So the Maliki school gives us minus 10 development cost. This is part of why I chose Hormuz, because I think this is actually the best one. There's a school that gives technology. Yeah, the Hanafi, in the dev diary they showed off, I think it was just flat technology cost. They've turned that so it only applies to administrative technology, so it's not as powerful as it once was. Now the Maliki, this is something I would love if somebody in our watching this either is Muslim or knows a lot about Islam that could explain this a little bit better, because I went over the Wikipedia pages and some other websites I could find about the different Muslim schools, and it's all pretty complex. I don't think I can really speak authoritatively based on what I read, but the description that the game gives, at least. The Maliki Madhab is named after Malik ibn Anas and is prominent in particular throughout North Africa and Iberia. Jurisprudence is primarily based on the work and interpretation of Ibn Anas and his student Sanun, as described in the Al-Muwatta and the Mudawana. One of the foremost centers of learning within the Maliki school is the Great Mosque of Kairouan near Tunis. So we hate Ismailis, Jafaris, and Zaidis, and we're ambivalent towards Hanafi, Hanabi, and Shafi'i. The other thing that's it seems to be tied into the Maliki school somewhat is that other than the Quran and the Hadiths, they consider the consensus of the people of Medina, which is one of the major Islamic holy cities, as being sort of like a tertiary authority for Islamic law, if they can't get it from other ways. So I think conquering Medina is actually going to be very appropriate for playing this particular school. We are now a Sultanate, which comes with some new mechanics in this expansion. We have basically we have 3 different government interactions, so we can set taxation policies. Efficient tax farming, which I think is what we're going to start out with, just gives us tax income and a one-time tax increase from all subject countries. Land acquisition reduces our core creation cost and gives us manpower from subjects, and then lenient taxation reduces liberty desire of subjects and increases our diplomatic reputation. So we're going to go ahead and set efficient tax farming at to begin with. We might have to close this. Let's look at the environment. Yeah, this doesn't really tell us anything we don't know. So we've set our tax policy. I think that's most of the new mechanics. As we run into some of the other ones, I'll kind of explain them, since I know, at least if you're watching this when it comes out on Saturday, most of you haven't played this yet. So Oman hates us, and we want to conquer them right away, so they're obviously a logical rival. Hassa hates us, and we also have designs on them, so they're going to be a logical rival. Mara, I don't know if we really... We will eventually want them... So here's kind of what I'm thinking. Goal-wise, we really want to monopolize trade from, the Monsoon trade, as it was called historically, which is kind of the Persian Gulf, East Africa, India, and Southeast Asia for the most part. So the nodes we're going to be primarily worried about, obviously, Hormuz, the one that's named after us, Basra, Alexandria, the Gulf of Aden, the Indus, Goa, Ceylon, Bengal, Siam, Malacca. Maybe we'll push up into China. Also the Moluccas. I'd also really like to colonize Australia too. We want to be a strong naval trade kind of colonial power. The Sultanate of Hormuz historically actually became a client state of Portugal in the 1500s. So I think instead, what we're going to do instead is we're gonna outdo Portugal and become kind of the main power in this region. Might even colonize South Africa. Most of the coast here is Sunni, so I don't know how much room we'll have to conquer that, but we'll see. I'm going to disband our transports right now because we don't need them. I think we also start with a free merchant. I played about 35 minutes of a test game, so I kind of know what our starting situation is. I'm going to go home at war. And then I'm going to tell them to protect trade. You can get the most profit from patrolling the Gulf of Aden here. We're also going to denounce sect practices because we have fairly high revolt risk due to our horrible religious unity. So we're going to condemn any form of sect practice and declare all practitioners heretics, which will move us towards legalism. So yeah, in addition to doing that, I think we might also try to form Arabia eventually. Uniting Arabia might be a cool secondary goal, but our main deal is going to be setting up trade companies in, the Monsoon area. Definitely, we'll want to. Ultimately, we'll want to be redirecting from the Moluccas to Malacca. Possibly out of Siam as well, to Bengal, to Ceylon, to the Gulf of Aden, to, up here. I don't know that we'll do a lot of conquering into Persia, although we are kind of at an interesting crossroads between Arabia and Persia, so that could be kind of an interesting thing to consider. So, first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get some alliances. So, I always forget where this section is. Dawasir will be very helpful in fighting our nearest neighbors, including Hassa. So I think they make the most sense as an initial ally. I'm also going to bring these guys down here because we are going to be conquering Oman very shortly into the game. I think we'll take the Reclaim Qatar mission as well. Now let's do improve relations with Dawasir. I do really want that free claim. Since time immemorial, Qatar has rightfully belonged to our great nation. Oh, it doesn't have any unique flavor text. I thought it might tell us why we have a core on Qatar, but that's definitely a city that we want. In order to strengthen our position in this trade node. And then we're also going to... By the way... Oh, yeah, so army drill is a new thing that we can do when we're not at war. That will allow us to kind of get more better armies. That's not even a thing. Let's go ahead and speed 5 it. Dawasir has accepted our alliance. I'm going to try not to create any overlapping alliances. So, Shamar, Najd. Yeah, let's get the Najd. Let's Najd it up. Okay. Now Shamar probably doesn't want, yeah, because we're rivaled with their, or we're allied to their rival. What about Najran? Religious school relations. They would join. They would ally us, though. So let's go ahead and get them. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing that happens in the Middle East now. The Timurid Empire has become this big kind of interesting dilemma over here. To show, basically, they look a lot smaller. They actually have Transoxiana, Khorasan, Fars, Sistan, and Afghanistan as vassals. And they also have Khorasan Ajam. So They're not as weak as they look, but they do have kind of a vassal storm. So, the aging ruler of the Timurid Empire, Shah Rukh, has been ill since the beginning of 1444. In his absence, his wife, Gohar Shad, had taken over the daily rule of the empire, but this sign of weakness has set wheels in motion among the princes that rule the Timurid provinces. In western Iran, the young prince Muhammad Bey-Sun Kaur, I apologize in advance because I'm going to be mispronouncing a lot of names in this part of the world, an ambitious grandson, has started to accept taxes and tokens of loyalty from a much larger region than his assigned governorate. Having finally recovered and learned of his insolence, Shah Rukh has now declared Muhammad Bey-Sun Kaur a rebel and is moving to strike at him at his first opportunity. If a civil war among the sons and grandsons like that at the end of Timur's life is to be avoided, Shah Rukh knows he must strike down any sign of rebellion harshly and quickly. Only time will tell what the other princes will do, so as long as Shah Rukh lives as the ruler of the Timurids, he will greatly reduce liberty desire of the remaining vassal countries ruled by his sons and grandsons. When he dies, that's when, as historians say, shit gets cray-cray. Okay, so we have 3 out of 4 alliances, three strong allies right now. I'm going to leave the rest of those open for reasons that will become apparent shortly. So let's go ahead and we're going to build a spy network in Oman. We're also going to build a spy network in Yas. And we are going to build up our army. We get 1 more unit of infantry here. And then the rest are going to be cavalry. Ottomans announced Austria. Khorasan has been made in March. Dawasir rivaled us. That doesn't make any sense because we're friends. Well, let's see. I guess maybe Baluchistan. I don't really want to fight them. All right, we'll rival Mara. They can come at us if they want. I don't know why he's idle with the target allies rule. Royal marriage from Najd. We will accept royal marriages at this time. Najran. Wait, are we allied to Najran? Yes, we are. Like, wait, are we your allies? Asking for a friend. Dawasir. Okay, so Dawasir must have rivaled one of my other allies. That must be why they're being like that. Allow friendlies to attach, and then we want to drill this army. Which I always keep forgetting where that... Cannot drill an army without a leader. Alright. Alright, so we're going to drill our army until we get this up. Succession of Vladislav III. Alright, we finished our mission. We will take Reclaim Qatar to get that free claim. Royal marriage with Najd has already ended. That was not a very long marriage. It's like a Hollywood marriage. Alright, so we got a claim. Fabricate claim. We want Nizwa. Oman might be suspicious of the documents we produce. It's still enough to justify our war. So we're going to stop drilling. Oman has fabricated claims on us. We're going to wait for our morale to tick back up to max. Death of Shah Rukh. Here we go. throw the region into flames. After a lifetime of war and iron-fisted rule, Timur's errand son, Shah Rukh, has finally passed on. His life's work has been to keep the empire his father built together, unifying it after Timur's death, and then stamping out any rebellion against his own rule. Shah Rukh brought peace to many parts of the empire, and under his rule, the arts and sciences have blossomed. During his last years, he has been ill often, and his sons and cousins have used this time to prepare for the inevitable war of succession. So the Timurids will no longer have the benefit of the reputation of Shah Rukh, and all vassals and princes, therefore, most likely will start to plot for the throne themselves. So things are going to get interesting. Yas is fabricating claims on us. Alright, our army's ready to go. We're going to fabricate this claim on Liwa. Then we're going to pull our diplomat out of there. They have no allies. So we're going to declare war. Conquest. And we're going to go on to speed 3 here. Chase their army around for a little bit. Mystics and storytellers. Many among the ulema, which is the Islamic priesthood, would question the great influence that storytellers have over the life of common men. The traditional hero stories of our people are centuries old, but they risk making a cult out of seriously distorted fates of historical figures. A prominent cleric in Moghastan have taken a strong stand against the storytellers of the realm, and cautious that the religious scholars of the past have warned that obsessive listening to the stories could lead to false worship. We must ban offensive stories from the realm. We're going to move towards legalism at every chance we get. We should win this quite handily. Took some losses. Our leaders become goal-oriented. We like it. Oh, the Timurids are fabricating on Hormuz. That's not necessarily a good thing. And for the stack wipe, there we go. Split these guys in half, and let's just occupy this as quickly as possible. Hassa have the gall to claim. Yeah, people are claiming shit from us. We get it. I thought about playing as Oman. They arguably have better ideas for trade, but man, are they a crapshoot in the early game. Like, if you don't... like, as Hormuz, you can conquer Oman pretty reliably, unless they get, like, a stupid alliance with, like, the Timurids or something. But starting as Oman, man, it's really hard to break out of this coastline here. You have to ally Hassa, Mara, and Yas, and basically, dogpile on Hormuz, which Mara and Hassa usually will ally with you against Hormuz, but it's still so much of a crapshoot in the early game that it's like, eh. So we can invite a scholar from the Hanbali school. I think we will do that, actually, because ag expansion impact, that's a good thing to cut down on. Non-enforcement of ordinances. Yeah, we'll take the local autonomy, that's fine. We don't care if our localities are a little bit autonomous. The pilgrims are safe. Our efforts to protect those of our subjects who seek to perform their pilgrimage to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina have paid off. It is now long since there last was a raid on the realms at peace. That's actually something that was going on quite a bit 100 to 200 years before game start here. These areas, even Hormuz, were getting the shit raided out of them by like Turkic raiders, such as the Timurids and their ilk. Khorasan has declared an independence war. So another thing I'd really like to do is I'd like to establish almost like our own version of the British Raj in India, rather than Islam spreading from this direction. I kind of want it to spread along the coast here. So we're definitely going to target places like Ahmadabad, like Surat, like what is the center of trade? Goa down here, Ceylon, absolutely. Like we want to trade company the shit out of all of these natural harbors and important centers of trade down here. Delhi has rivaled the Timurids. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and sue for peace here. If we just straight annex them, that's 24 aggressive expansion. If we vassalize them, that's only 17. What is our current monarch? He's actually strong in Diplo. So I think we're actually going to vassalize Oman to start with. And we'll take a bunch of money from them. We'll make them give up their claims. All that stuff. We don't want them to return the cores. Okay, cool. So they're our vassal now. The next thing we need to do is conquer Yas. So let's pull this diplomat. Let's continue building a spy network here because it'll help us with sieges. Oman has a high liberty desire, so we're going to park a diplomat there. And we're going to pull this diplomat at the moment. Timurids want military access. We're actually not going to give it to them. So they're allied with Hassa and Ajam. Ajam is... Oh wow, Ajam is big. So what about Hassa? Mara and Yas. Interesting. Okay. So... Dawasir, you can absolutely have military access. Is Ajam at war right now? They are at war. Okay, let's see if they would join this war. Okay, Ajam would not join. Only Hassa would. So we can kind of take them both in one war. 1 second, I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Alright, we are back. So we're going to declare war... Oh, no, not that. We're going to declare war on Yas. And since Ajam is involved in another war, they're not going to join. So we're going to have to deal with Hassa and Yas. That's it. I think we can take them. You know, and I should have granted a generalship to the nobility. That probably would have been better. You're going to have speed 3 for this. Ports are blockaded. Our ships are safe. Actually, do we have money? 6, 4... Yeah, let's build another... Let's build some more ships. Galleys are actually... So galleys are going to be good in this little area, which is where we're fighting right now. So I actually am going to get a couple galleys. And then I want to probably spend the rest of this on barks. Build up our navy a little bit here. So there's the Hassan army. If that's all they've got, then I'm not that worried. 4 out of 4 Diplo relations. Yeah, I think we'll annex Liwa, and then we'll take... I wonder if we can annex Hassa without throwing everybody in the region into a coalition against us. I guess we'll see. Man, ships take a long time to build. We might go into a little bit of debt in this war, actually. There's Oman's building shit, but I doubt they're... Yeah. They're disloyal, so they're not going to actually help us. They're just building up their army to foment their own independence. Okay, the Siege of Liwa was over. We're going to grab our dudes, and we're going to head up to Qatar. Who is this war? Okay, it's primarily against Yas. Okay. So they're hiding their army on this island here. Which is kind of funny, actually. Alright, we're going to chase them down. We're going to kill them dead. We're going to follow them back to wherever they're retreating to. Which we can't get to because there's a fort in the way. So we'll just occupy this while we're waiting for our boats to pop up. Naj wants a royal marriage again. We'll take it, happily. And let's go stack wipe their asses. Okay. So I guess we gotta go siege down Qatif now. Yeah, we probably are going to go into debt. That's alright, though. We got some boats popping out. Let's see if they're going to try to... Yeah, they're going to chase down and catch one of our galleys. Actually, we need an admiral before we take them on. Ooh, that's a really good admiral for the early game. And we're going to make sure to fight them in a place where galleys are good. Death of a merchant. I think the state needs the money to keep us out of debt. Cool! We've ended their blockade. Alright. Well, that's not too bad. We are bleeding manpower at this point, but... Alright, we're not going to have enough to take that fort. So instead, we're just going to cross over here. We're going to take this little island, and then we're going to call it a day. Reoccupy this province to get our war score back up. Battle of the Pirate Coast. End up sinking all their shit. Awesome. Alright, so... Well, how much war score do we have against their alliance? So we'll take Qatar... Let's take a look at areas here. It's all part of the same region. Yeah, we'll just take all of it. And we can't take all of it. Can we leave them? Which one of these has higher development? So this is arid. It has a development of 4. This is non-arid and has a development of 4. So I'd rather have the island. So if we leave them that... Really? Well, I guess we gotta wait for some ticking war score. Now Najd is sieging them. Alright. Can we get any money out of this, maybe? Oh, now they'll do, like, whatever we want, basically. Awesome. So we're doing pretty well for ourselves here.